right, good morning. Happy Easter. Glad you guys are here. Give yourselves a hand for being here. I've never done that in my life. I don't know why now, but let's do it. It's good. So, as we kind of talk about Easter Day, I want to talk about the idea of the good news and what the good news really is, because that's what is translated in the gospel. So I want you to think about how many of you love how-to videos in the room? Anybody love them? If you can't do much like I can't, I love them because I literally pull up a video, a couple tools, and I become an expert in a lot of things. It's pretty awesome, right? And some of you, I'm sure, are the same. If you don't know something, nowadays we live in an amazing world. You literally pull up Google or YouTube, and there's somebody doing something. I looked up how to change a radio in a 2006 Envoy GMC burgundy collar. It was there. It's like the most amazing thing. But I started looking online. I was like, okay, how far do we go with this how-to thing? These are real books, obviously. You can buy them on Amazon. This was a favorite of mine. If you ever wanted to know, there's a book for it. It's Crafting with Cat Hair. Okay, true book. And it says cute handicrafts to make with your cat. So basically what you do is you take excess hair, or I guess your cat sheds. I don't know much about cats, but the cat, when it sheds hair, you take its hair, you make a craft, and then you play with the craft with your cat with its own hair. Does anyone else think that's a little creepy and weird, right? Yeah, and I hate cats anyways, and I don't care. Say what you want. This is a good one, though, and you only get this if you're like, I don't know, 25 to 35. So the rest of you, this joke means nothing to you. The rest, us, my age, you're 40-ish. Cooking with Coolio. And I love this because it says, the Ghetto Gourmet, 5-star meals at a 1-star price. Now, if you ever want, okay, how do I really cook with Coolio? My wife told me I'm not allowed to read all these chapters. Many are inappropriate. But some of my favorites, chapter 1, how to become a kitchen pimp. Pretty good, right? Chapter 2, the 10 cool commandments. I cannot read chapter 3 through 9, so pretty good book, right? So that's kind of how it works. There's a how-to for everything. But if we're honest, I think most of us would say how-tos are helpful when they work, right? I love it when it works. But there's been times I've been trying to do something, I'm over my head, and just a video doesn't help me. So when a how-to doesn't help, it becomes frustrating. And I say that, you guys, because I want you to understand something. I think this is so important. How-tos don't equal good news. You know that? I don't know proper grammar. Maybe it's how-tos doesn't equal good news. How-tos don't equal good news. Whichever one, you grammar people are freaking out right now. It's one of the two. You've got it. But that's the truth of the matter. A how-to isn't good news. Good news is just good news. And that same frustration was part of the reason why we started C3. Because if you're honest, in the Bible Belt, there's some things that happen. In the Bible Belt, and we're all part of this culture, is we want to take Christianity and we want to boil it down to a list of 5 or 6 pretty good person. Great for you. I'm not. Okay, you guys could follow me for 1 week and you'd be like, I'm never listening to him again. He is the worst human being I've ever met in my life. Okay, I know I'm jacked up. I know I'm a mess. No one has to tell me that. I grew up with all boys in an all-boy home, and we were horrible kids. Horrible. I mean, my kids don't realize, like, why don't you tell stories of what you did? No, because one, I don't want to give you ideas, right, of something you can do, and we basically wrote the book on how to be horrible people. I'm okay with that. But here's what I want you to understand. The good news isn't for good people. Look at verse 1 of chapter 12 in Genesis. It says, the Lord had said to Abram, go from a far country, your people, your father's household, to the land I will show you. Now, Abraham, in case you don't know, is literally the father, thousands of years ago, he's the father of the nation of Israel. He's the father of God's people. He's a big deal. If you were to speak to a Jew today, Abraham is the man. But here's what I love. When God called Abraham, he wasn't a good person. He wasn't. Matter of fact, he was a moon worshiper. So one day, God calls Abraham, he says, hey, I need to rescue you out of this mess you're in. You're not going to worship moons anymore. I am God. I'm speaking to you. If you don't believe me, go home tonight and just read through the book of Genesis. 2 different times, Abraham pimps out his wife. That's not a good thing in case you don't know. Some of you take note, okay, I can do this, right? No, you don't do that, right? My wife would be upset. He literally is that guy. He would get in a body, he's like, hey, take my wife. It's my sister. Yeah, you just live with her, whatever. Like, he literally wasn't a good guy. And that's the beauty of the gospel is God says, it's not that you're good. It's that I'm good. That's how much I love you. You've got a penalty and you have to pay for it. Because we all know in here, we all want justice when something goes wrong. And God says, yeah, and I'm going to make someone pay for it. I just don't want it to have to be you. When my wife and I were first married, I got a job at a place called Fastenal in Ashland, industrial supply store. And me and my buddy actually got the job at like basically the same time, the same week. And we got in, they said, hey, Trent, we're going to make you a warehouse guy, and the delivery guys loved it because they'd roll in, come in about 8 o'clock, help us get stuff in, kind of check it out, and they'd go, okay, we're out on the road, and they wouldn't come back till it was time to go home. And they'd always come in with McDonald's bags and like, Big Mac sauce on their lips, and I hated them, and I'm back in this little tiny black dungeon hole just working like a little, it's miserable. Well, a couple of months in, the boss comes back and said, hey, got a rush order, you got to get it out right now, you got to go, no one's left, got to go to Portsmouth. And I was amped. First delivery. I get outside, I saw the sun and kind of hissed at it for a second because I haven't seen daylight. Yeah, I'm in the truck, I'm in a company truck, white truck, fastenal down the side. I head there, I drop off my delivery, I'm like, man, what do I eat? So many choices, I'm going to take my time because I'm a horrible employee, and I should try to get back to work, but I'm just milking this for all it's worth. As I'm heading back, the Scioto, Lawrence County line, sort of Hanging Rock area, something terrible happens. On the radio, Guns N' Roses, Paradise City comes on. Now, if any of you know Paradise City, and you better know if you don't go home and you listen to it, Paradise City is meant to be cranked at the maximum level there is. You roll your windows down, and I'm just screaming it. It's got that music, like, get me into it. I mean, what world don't want to be in Paradise City? The grass is green, the girls are pretty. I'm in. That's a great world. I'm amped. I'm rocking it out. And all of a sudden, I see lights behind me. I look at my speedometer, and I can't guess exactly, but I'm close to 90. Right? Because when you're listening to GNR, you got to crank it. All aspects of your life. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I freak out. I freak out because I'm like, one, I'm going to have to pay a fine. I don't have much money. Two, it's company. I don't know how that works. I don't know. Am I in trouble with the company now? Am I possible? Could I lose my job? I don't know what. I am a very nervous, 21, 22-year-old kid. I don't know what to do. And I look back, and thankfully, it wasn't Hanging Rock. It wasn't a highway patrolman. It was a Lawrence County deputy. And he gets out of his car, and I'm freaking like, oh, I'm so dead, I'm so dead. And he walks up to my window. How you doing, buddy? Not good. Not good. I know. He's like, you know why I pulled you over? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was speeding. He said, I clocked you at 88. Okay? This is back when it used to be 55. And he does the craziest thing. True story. He said, he was redneck because Lawrence County, we all are. He said, tell you what, buddy, I'm going to let you go today. Listen to me. If you go around that bend there, there's a Hanging Rock cop. He's waiting on you. And you get to the second Ironton exit, there's a highway patrolman sitting at that exit. So if you don't slow down, one of them is going to get you. Have a good day. I'm not lying to you guys. I could have kissed him on the lips. I mean, it was literally that moment where it was just like the greatest feeling. Why? Because I deserved something bad. I knew it. And he rescued me. Not because I did anything good. It was just a moment of grace, and he said, hey, you got it. That's the good news. No matter what junk, no matter how fast you've been driving, no matter what you've done in your life, Jesus says, I came to rescue you. But that's not just it. We need to belong. And what God does with the gospel is he restores us. You see, the good news isn't more to-dos. That's what Bible Belt Christianity, that's the one negative that we got to be careful of, is the Bible Belt Christianity says, hey, listen, you got to do more so God's happier with you. Right? I got to perform. As long as I perform, then God stays happy with me. That's not the good news. The good news is the gospel shows me I'm part of God's family. Check this out in verse 2. This is what God says. He says, I'll make you into a great nation. I will bless you. I'll make your name great. You'll be a blessing. You are now my son. You are now part of me. Isn't that amazing? You see, we get to belong in a bigger family. Even if you don't have a good family, God says, I've got a better family for you. You get to belong to that family. That's the amazing thing. Now, those of you who attend here quite a bit, you know me. You know I'm a weirdo. I'm a weird parent. I do weird stuff. My wife says, like being married to a motivational speaker, I'm always that because a girl told me at the outdoor service last night, I said that phrase and she said, thank you. I have two 12-year-old boys. So after you said I made them, we spent the last 30 minutes trying to tell them shut up back there as they're giggling and, talking back and forth. I was like, you're welcome and Merry Christmas, right? But I made them and they're in my image. That's why no matter what my son does, he could do the most horrific thing, and God, I pray he never does. But you walk up and you're like, he did this. Yeah, what? He's still my son. See, that's how God views us. You're part of the family. It isn't more things you do. It's because who he is and who you now are. You're in the family of God. And finally, the last thing is become. You see, the gospel tells me it gives me power to truly live my life every single day. The good news is your how-to. The good news empowers me to live a life that God intended for me to live. Look at verse 3. This is finally the become part. And God said, and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you. Now, in case you don't know Abraham's story, this would be a freaky time because Abraham's like, whoa. So you're going to make a great nation in my name. I love it, God. Here's the problem. I'm literally an old man, and my wife is old. We're both really, really old, and we can't have kids. So you keep telling me you're going to make a great nation through me, and I can't even have kids. Is this a joke? Is this a sick joke? And here's the beauty. God says, no, you understand. This is part of the good news. I'm not asking you to do a list of things, what you should do, don't do, but I'm going to ask you to do one big thing, and that's completely trust me in every area of your life. The good news, the one step we have to take is we have to completely trust Christ in every area of our life. You want to know what area you're not trusting Christ in? It's real simple. What freaks you out all the time? What keeps you up at night that you can't sleep about? What do you find yourself just constantly thinking? Maybe it's even a good thing, but you constantly think that you can't wait for that next time. Whatever that is, that's probably an area of unbelief in your life. It's consuming you. It's filling some void that God intended for him to fill. That's the beauty of this. But something cool happens. God gives him a son. They have a son. It's awesome. They're happy. He starts to grow up. He's a boy. And God comes to him. And God, this is weird, man. I'm just going to confess to you guys. If I was listening right now and I didn't believe in God or any of that stuff, I'd be like, this is why I don't, because you guys say stupid stories like this. It's kind of a weird time because God comes back to Abraham and says, okay, remember how I said I'm going to give you a son? I did. You'll be a great nation. It'll be through him. I will. But I need you to go up on the mountain and sacrifice your son. Him and Abraham kind of this conversation. The next thing you know, Abraham says, okay, I'll do it. Now, I know it's weird. I know, I get it. This is like, this fairy tale stuff is crazy. And according to the Bible, it says Abraham went up, he ties his son, he lays him on an altar, and he pulls up a knife, and as he pulls it up, he goes, stop. I just wanted to see, ready for this? I just wanted to see that you would fully trust me. You see, God is not after your good works. He's not after your deeds. He's after your heart. And the second anything else in your heart takes over, then God says, no, that can't work with me. That's how you live this life. And you know why that story is so powerful? Because it tells me something really cool. God said, Abraham, you don't get it, but they looked over and there's a little ram caught in a bush, and he said, take that instead. I want you to kill the ram and sacrifice it in your son's place. And why that's cool is because Abraham didn't know then, but God was saying, a few thousand years later, I'm actually do this. I'm going to take my one and only son. He's going to be the lamb, and I'm going to sacrifice him for all the world. He's going to pay the sin debt of you, all of my sin, all of your sin, all of my shame, all of your shame, all of my guilt, your guilt. He said, I'm going to put all of that on my one and only perfect son because I love you that much. That is good news. That is why we celebrate today. And here's what I want you to hear. If you don't hear anything that's so important. Romans 10:13 says, everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. See, the good news is Jesus died for you. But the best news is he didn't stay dead. So God not only punished him for your sin, but he overcame all of that when he overcame the grave on the third day. So as we close today, if you're going to reject this whole thing, or you're going to reject areas of your life, you might be a follower of Jesus for years, but let's be honest, you have areas of your life that you're still clinging on to. If you want to hold on to that, let me tell you what you're going to choose to reject. all of a sudden, about the third time it went up, I watched, and his cheeks fill up. Now, if you have kids, you know, like it's filling up with something, right? And I look at John like, I think he's gonna puke. I think he's gonna puke. And all of a sudden, the fourth time it goes up, he literally, whoa. Now, here's the worst part about throwing up on a Viking ship, is it keeps going up. And every time it goes up, he's puking on everybody. So we're all just like catching this, right? It's a true story. We're screaming. It was like a horror movie, like literally a war scene. We're screaming to the guy, shut off the rod. You got a Carney down there, God bless him, smoking a cigarette, flirting with some high school girl. He can't even hear us, right? It ran the whole course. Just every time, we're just getting drilled with it. People are screaming. Finally get off the ride. This is a true story. Finally get off the ride, and people they are so mad at this kid. They're saying stuff. They're mumbling under their breath. They're all walking. They're running from him. People are covered in just vomit everywhere. So we get him over to the side, and we're talking like, how are we going to clean him off? What are we going to do? We're trying to make a plan there, and he's still just been over, and he's sick, and he feels awful. And there's a girl, I don't know, maybe 20-some years old, 20, 21, young girl, attractive, cute, young girl. She's covered too. So all these people are mad, and they're moving away. And this girl, as crazy as it is, gets off the ride and makes a beeline. Doesn't know him. And she's been over and she's patting him on the back. She's like, are you okay? And she's covered in his vomit. And that night it hit me as we walked away. Everyone runs from the mess. Most people, even in your life, will run from your mess because they don't want to be tied in with that. But Jesus is the one person who always runs to your mess. That's why it's good news. It's good news because Jesus said, everyone else may not want to deal with your junk, but I run to it because I love you that much. Here's what I want you to do today, if you would join me, okay? We're going to pray. And as we get ready to pray, I just want you to just really kind of wrestle with this today. Are you empowered daily to live with the gospel? Is this truly good news in your life? What areas do you need to take the next step? We're going to put some next steps up here, okay? It's really simple. If you've got the app, you can just click on next steps. But we just kind of designed some steps for you to take. Maybe for you, maybe you're struggling. Maybe you feel like you're in a rut. Maybe you're lonely. I don't know what's going on in your life, but we really want to challenge you. You can use the app or you can text this number, just text next. We want to help you take your next step. And for some of you, let's pray today. Your step might be to fully surrender your life to Christ for the first time, to fully trust Him. So if you would join for just a second. Father, we thank you so much for this amazing news. It is good news that you allowed your Son to die for my sins, but it is great news that He didn't stay dead. Thank you for that ultimate sacrifice. Thank you for your Son who runs to my mess. And I just pray for somebody here this morning. Maybe they came for whatever reason. Someone begged them to, reluctantly. They don't even believe in this. But you're speaking to their heart right now. And I pray today would be the day that they say, okay, God, it doesn't make full sense to me, but it never does. I'm going to fully trust you this morning. If that's you, you can join me in just a really simple prayer. Something like this. Jesus, I know I've sinned. I know I've made a mess. But I'm asking you this morning to forgive me. Forgive me of my sin. Save me. If that's you this morning, no one looking around, I want you to do something really, really bold if you would. No one's looking around. We want to celebrate that. We're not make you come forward, not make you stand up. No one else will even know this. But we want to celebrate that step, that amazing step. If that's you, first time we're like praise it. Ask Jesus to say, if that's you, just lift your hand. If you would, we just want to celebrate. You put it up, put it right back down. We just want to celebrate